Think your English is perfect. Only 1% of learners can score a perfect 30 on this tricky C1 grammar test. Let's find out if you're a true master. 1. It is high time you studying for your final exams. The phrase "it is high time" followed by a subject requires the past simple tense to talk about a present or future situation where something should have already been done. This is called the unreal past. Options A, C, and D use present or present perfect tenses, which are grammatically incorrect in this specific structure. 2. If I'd known how difficult the project was going to be, I would have asked for help. This is a third conditional sentence, which talks about an unreal situation in the past. The correct structure for the if clause is if plus subject plus past perfect. Therefore, had known is the only correct choice. Would have is used in the main clause, not the if clause. 3. Despite her young age, she has a reel for picking up new languages. While all options relate to capability, the word knack specifically collocates strongly with the preposition for and the gerund picking up when describing a natural, almost intuitive ability to do something tricky. Ability and skill usually take to plus an infinitive, and talent is generally followed by for but lacks the idiomatic naturalness of knack in this context. 4. The management decided to put the meeting until the CEO returned from her business trip. The phrasal verb put off means to delay or postpone an event or action. Put out means to extinguish. Put up means to provide accommodation or tolerate when followed by with. And put away means to store something in its usual place. 5. Let's review the new marketing strategy together. Question tags for sentences starting with let's, let us always use shall we. This is a fixed grammatical convention in English used to make a suggestion rather than ask a direct question. The other options are grammatically invalid for this structure. 6. By the time the fire engines arrived, the historic library completely destroyed. This sentence contains two past actions, the arrival of the fire engines and the destruction of the library, because the destruction happened before the arrival. The past perfect passive had been destroyed must be used to sequence the events correctly. Was simply indicates past simple, which loses the timeline sequence. 7. After years of study, he is completely dedicated finding a cure for the disease. The adjective dedicated takes the dependent preposition to. Furthermore, when a preposition is followed by a verb, the verb must be in the gerund form. Therefore, dedicated to finding is the only correct structural choice. 8. For his anniversary, he bought his wife a. In English, multiple adjectives preceding a noun must follow a specific order: opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, purpose. Beautiful is an opinion, red is a color, and Italian is an origin. Thus, the correct sequence is opinion, color, origin. 9. The airline representatives regret you that Flight 842 has been canceled due to severe weather. The verb regret changes meaning depending on what follows it. Regret plus to infinitive is used to announce bad news, formally often used by companies. Regret plus gerund. Informing means you feel sorry about something you already did in the past. Here, they are giving the news now, so to inform is correct. 10. His coat is still hanging on the rack, so he have left the office yet. When making a logical deduction about the past that you are certain is not true, you must use can't have plus past participle. It is the negative equivalent of must have. Mustn't have is not standard English for deductions, as mustn't implies prohibition, not logical impossibility. 11. If he had accepted that job offer in London last year, he'd be a manager by now. This is a mixed conditional sentence. The if clause is in the past perfect had accepted, referring to an unreal past event, but the main clause refers to the present result by now. The structure for this present result is would plus bare infinitive. 12. Hardly asleep when the neighbor's dog started barking loudly. When a negative or limiting adverbial like hardly, scarcely, or rarely is placed at the beginning of a sentence for emphasis, it triggers subject auxiliary inversion. The sentence is in the past perfect tense, so the auxiliary had must swap places with the subject I. 13. The legal team strongly recommended that the contract be revised before signing. This requires the use of the subjunctive mood after verbs expressing recommendation, demand, or suggestion like recommend, insist, demand. The that clause takes the base form of the verb for all subjects in the passive voice. This base form is simply be followed by the past participle. 14. I enjoy living in the tropics, but that I find exhausting. This is a cleft sentence used to emphasize a specific part of a sentence, the structure. It is was emphasized word that rest of the clause is used here to focus on the humidity. Options B, C, and D break the syntactical rules of cleft construction. 15. By the sudden drop in temperature, the hikers decided to turn back to the base camp. This is a past participle clause used to express a reason or a passive condition. Alarmed by the sudden drop means because they were alarmed by the sudden drop. Alarming would mean the hikers themselves were causing alarm. And having alarmed would mean they actively alarmed someone else. 16. The committee's final proposal was highly causing a deep split among the board members. Vocabulary context is key here. Divisive means causing disagreement or hostility between people, which fits the context of causing a deep split. Decisive means settling an issue quickly. Derivative means an original, and derisive means expressing contempt or mockery. 17. The startup managed to secure its Series B funding the current economic downturn. In spite of is a prepositional phrase meaning without being affected by the particular factor mentioned. It must be followed by a noun phrase the current economic downturn. Although requires a full clause subject plus verb, despite of is grammatically incorrect. It should just be despite. 18. I tried to call you yesterday evening, but my phone battery died unexpectedly. This tests the future in the past structure. Was go into is used to express a past intention or plan that was interrupted or did not happen. Would go is for past habits. Have gone is present perfect, and went is past simple, none of which convey an unfulfilled intention. 19. Please stop beating around the and just tell me exactly what the problem is. Beat around the bush is a fixed English idiom that means to avoid talking about what is important or to approach a subject indirectly. Since it is a fixed phrase, the distractors tree hedge. Shrub are completely incorrect despite being related botanical terms. 20. The corporation. CEO recently stepped down amidst a scandal, is facing a severe drop in stock value. Whose is a relative pronoun used to indicate possession in this non-defining relative clause. It shows that the CEO belongs to the corporation, which and that refer to things but do not show possession, and who refers to a person as a subject, making them incorrect here. 21. Not only the complex mathematical equation, but she also discovered a faster way to solve it. Similar to question 12, beginning a sentence with the negative adverbial phrase not only requires subject auxiliary inversion in the first clause, since the verb solve is in the past simple. We introduce the auxiliary did, followed by the subject she, and the base verb solve. 22. The financial forecast was incredibly bleak. The board of directors voted to proceed with the expansion. Nevertheless is a conjunctive adverb used to introduce a statement that contrasts with or seems surprising given the previous statement. It functions similarly to however, consequently implies a result. Furthermore adds similar information and thereby indicates a method or result, making them contextually wrong. 23. It is absolutely imperative that all financial disclosures submitted to the auditors by 5 p.m. today. This is a highly formal use of the subjunctive mood. Adjectives like imperative, crucial, or vital followed by that clause require the base form of the verb for all subjects, because this is a passive construction. The correct form is the base verb be followed by the past participle submitted. 24. The senator's speech was dismissed by critics as empty that offered no practical solutions to the crisis. Rhetoric refers to the art of effective or persuasive speaking, but in a negative context, empty rhetoric refers to language that sounds impressive but lacks meaningful content or sincerity. Pragmatism is practical action, vernacular is everyday language, and discourse is general communication. 25. The supervisor warned the employee that another unexcused absence would be tantamount immediate dismissal. The adjective tantamount means virtually the same as or equivalent in seriousness to. It is a C1, C2 level vocabulary word that is strictly followed by the dependent preposition. 2. The distractors are common prepositions that do not collocate with this word. 26. To the contrary, the stubborn investor went ahead and poured his life savings into the failing company. This is a reduced passive participle clause. The full clause would be although he was advised to the contrary. By dropping the conjunction and subject, we are left with the past participle advised. Advising and having advised imply he was the one giving the advice, which contradicts the context. 27. Such the public outcry over the new tax laws that the government was forced to repeal them within a week. This sentence uses a formal inversion structure with such to emphasize the extent of something. The structure is such plus be verb plus subject plus that clause, since the sentence refers to a past event was forced. The correct form of the be verb to match the singular noun outcry is was. 28. The suspects have committed the robbery. Security footage proves he was in a completely different city at the time. This tests logical deduction in the past, when we are 100% certain that a past event did not happen because of evidence. We use can't have plus past participle or couldn't have plus past participle, mustn't have is. Grammatically invalid for making logical deductions in English. 29. I'd sooner you mention this confidential merger to anyone else in the office until it's finalized. The phrase would sooner contracted to de sooner is used to express a preference, when the subjective preference is different from the speaker I'd sooner you. We must use the past simple to refer to a present or future wish, therefore. Didn't is the correct choice to express this in real present, future condition. 30. The fragile peace negotiations between the two nations are currently balanced on a knife and could fail at any moment. Balanced on a knife edge is an advanced English idiom used to describe a very tense, precarious situation where the outcome is highly uncertain and could easily go wrong. Because idioms are fixed expressions, the distractors point, blade, tip, though related to a knife, are incorrect.